Good afternoon, ACM After School Club. How are you doing? My name is Jimmy Davies, aka Tapes, and I'm here today to talk to you a little bit about flow, how to improve your flow as a rapper or an MC, flow in hip hop, grime, drill, rap, and all the offshoots of the genre. But before we get into it, let me introduce myself. I'm part of the teaching team here at ACM. I teach on the rap MC pathway of the creative artist degree. I've been a part of the course since its inception. It's a world first. You won't find a rap and MC course anywhere else in the world currently. And I've been involved in music, making music for 2 decades and professionally for 15 years. I've toured the UK, Ireland and Europe extensively, played a whole bunch of festivals, played on some really big stages, and I've done quite a few things on the music industry side of the business too. So, flow. And some of you guys, maybe all of you, might be thinking, what is flow? Like, if I asked you to define it, to explain to me what flow is, could you tell me? Could you break it down? I'm sure we all have an idea of what we think it is, but I think it's a good place to start to define what we mean by flow. Okay, and this is a technical kind of dictionary definition, if you like. But the way we view flow is how you deliver your lyrics rhythmically over the accompanying music, aka the beat. Yeah, so it's how you deliver your lyrics with rhythm over the beat. All right. Another way of describing it would be the rhythm and rhymes of a song's lyrics, okay? Or an alternative way of defining it would be drum patterns in word form, because essentially that's what it is, yeah? It's different rhythms, and we're converting those rhythms into words, and obviously words have syllables, and then we start thinking about all sorts of stuff such as timing, syllable placement, space, for breaths and things like that. Okay, so we've defined flow. That's good. We've got a definition to start with. Now, why is flow important? Well, in my opinion, it's one of the key elements. Yeah. In fact, I would imagine in the opinion of every fan of hip hop, of every artist, of every rapper, MC, I'm pretty sure they'd all agree with me. It's a key element, okay? Now, when you think of the word flow, what does it make you think of immediately? What pops into your head? Just give me a few seconds to ponder. I'm going to hazard a guess at the flow of water, yeah? We might be thinking of a river, a stream, the sea even maybe, okay? Now, when you think of the flow of that moving water, it's traveling to a destination, isn't it? Yeah, it's got to get to a destination, and it's gonna navigate its way to that destination, whether it's a river running into the sea or a stream running into a lake or whatever. Okay, it's gonna take hopefully a smooth journey. All right, we should think of flow in rap and hip hop exactly the same way. Okay, so the flow of our verses is allowing us to navigate the music smoothly to get to the destination, which will probably be the chorus. Yeah, so what flow allows us to do is engage the listener, entice the listener. Yeah, it allows for a smooth journey, so that it's smooth for the listener's ear. Okay, and our voice needs to fit the beat rhythmically to allow that smooth journey to happen. Think about it like this. If you listened to an instrumental, just the music of a song, yeah, the musical backing, if one element was out of time or out of rhythm, it would really throw you off, wouldn't it? It would really upset the listening experience. And it's exactly the same for the vocal, for the rapping, for the MCing. It has to fit rhythmically, and allow that smooth listening experience. Otherwise, it's going to upset the listener. Yeah. So if a kick drum or a snare drum was out of time or out of place, we wouldn't really want to listen to that again, would we? Because it would be like, that sounds weird, that sounds crazy. It's exactly the same for when we're rapping. Yeah, so the kind of things that we need to be thinking about and asking ourselves are, how do we become one with the music? Okay? How do we allow our vocal to integrate with the music so that it's a perfect marriage, so that it complements the music? Yeah, that is what we're aiming for. We need to imagine that our vocal is another instrument. It's another part of the track, because it is. Yeah, and we need it to complement all of the other elements and components. Yeah. So as I said, we're talking about rhythm specifically and mainly and primarily, and we're talking about timing, we're talking about syllable placement, and we're talking about space for breaths. Yeah. And not just space for breaths, but also space to allow the listener time to digest what we've said. Yeah. Now that doesn't necessarily apply to all pieces of hip hop music, rap music, MCing, but it is something that we need to consider. I'm sure that we've heard tracks where the MC, the rapper, the vocalist is going a million miles an hour, and there's not much space to allow us to digest what's sinking in. Eminem, Godzilla, is one example that I can think of off the top of my head. Rap God as well. Yeah, there's that certain part of it. So how do we become one with the music? Yeah. Well, we're at one with the music when it becomes seamless. When we sit in the pocket of the beat. That's what we call it as rappers, as MCs. Sitting in the pocket of the music, yeah? And that's the space that we can fit our vocal in, yeah, without it becoming overwhelming. Yeah, that's what we're looking for, that pocket. So we sit, when we find that pocket and we sit in it nicely, it then becomes a seamless experience. Yeah, that integration happens that I've spoken of already, and we can really start to hook people in. Now, I've heard rappers and MCs use the phrase "ride the beat" quite a lot. We get some of our students at ACM, they like to use that phrase, and that's perfectly acceptable way of describing it. It's not exactly textbook, but it sort of it gives us a vision, if you like. It gives us this visual sort of representation of flow when we say ride the beat, because it's almost like riding a horse, I suppose. Once you're in the groove of riding that horse, then it becomes really easy. If you're not at one with the horse and its movements, it's going to become very difficult, and there's going to be a push and pull, and you're going to be jarring against each other. So that can be a good way of thinking about it. One thing we need to be really aware of when we're particularly writing and thinking about flow when writing is how many words we're putting in. How many words are we putting into each line, and are we overcrowding it? Because when we start to overcrowd the line, that's when that jarring happens between vocal and beat. Yeah, that's when it can seem like it's not flowing smoothly anymore. Too many words, too many syllables, not enough space to breathe, trying to rush things. So we need to think carefully about how many words we're putting in, and when we're writing, we need to be kind of counting out. We need to be counting out the beat as much as we can, best to our ability. And by counting out the beat, then we can really see where words will fit and how we can structure lines. Yeah. Sentences, lines, bars. A lot of people refer to them as bars. Now, it's a good point, actually. Some of you might not know why they're referred to as bars. And for those who don't, I'll very quickly explain. So a bar in music is 4 beats, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a bar, okay? Now, the reason a lot of rappers and MCs say, oh, listen to my new 16, is they're talking about 16 bars, okay? That is a typical length for a verse, 16 bars. So by counting out the time, the tempo, if you like, of the track, then we can start to see where words will fit, okay? So I'm going to count out something now and give a very off the top of the head, quick demonstration of what I'm talking about. Okay, so if this is my tempo, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm counting out the beat and I can start to see where words can get placed. Okay, so I might go like this. I'm coming to ACM to be a good rapper. I'm coming to ACM to be a good rapper. That might be one way I could approach flowing on that rhythm. Another way could be, I'm coming to ACM to be an outstanding rapper. I'm coming to ACM to be an outstanding rapper. Now, can you see the difference between the two? I'm coming to ACM to be a good rapper. It's quite rigid. It's quite broken. It's quite basic, some would probably say. If I'm doing it this way, I'm coming to ACM to be an outstanding rapper. That's quite seamless, isn't it? There's no gaps. It flowed nicely. Yeah? Basic example, but hopefully you get the idea and you get the picture. So by counting out the beat, that's really important, yeah? Then we can start to notice the spaces for those words and how they're going to fit, right? So really important. That's my tip number 1, is always count out the beat, yeah? So I'm going to beatbox now, and that just came to me, so I'm going to do it. If I'm like that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so count out the tempo, the timing, the rhythm. That will really, really help you. Just use 1, 2, 3, and 4. Yeah, keep it really simple and basic. All right. Now there are lots of different ways that we can go about approaching our flow, and lots of different rappers and MCs have different flows. Yeah, some of them have trademark flows. When we think about someone like Rick Ross, he has a really, really trademark flow, and he reverts to it the majority of the time, and it works for him, you know, and it's very distinguishable, it's very distinct. We hear it and we know it's him. Giggs is another example, UK rapper, someone who has a very kind of distinct and fairly simple flow a lot of the time, yeah, but it's very effective. Moving on to a mid-tempo flow, I would probably put someone in that bracket, such as Kanye West. Dave definitely uses a mid-tempo flow quite a lot. And then moving on to sort of faster flows, you know, then we're talking about someone like maybe Kendrick Lamar, Eminem, the couple of examples I've quoted already, Stormzy, you know, Wiley, those guys, the grime MCs, you know, we're talking about faster flows there, and some of the drill MCs as well, Millions, Meeks, OFB, those guys. But with drill, the flows can be very much kind of customized in drill. Yeah, I feel like drill almost has its own rule book in some ways. Obviously, you know, the guys, they're staying in time, they keep rhythm, their timing is great, but it's like the standard format of structuring lines, for me, it sort of it gets customized, and they they create their own sort of experience with flow in drill, I find, as a listener. And I think it's amazing. It's fantastic, you know. So lots of different ways that we can approach flow when it comes to tempo. Tupac is another great example of someone who had a trademark flow, yeah, and he kept it simple. Really, when you study his music, his flow was fairly simple. So simple can be amazing, is what I'm trying to say. Yeah, don't think that you have to be really technical and really complex and intricate. You don't. You know, my advice would be, do what suits the music. Yeah, listen to the music and try and become one with it. I know that sounds a little bit airy-fairy perhaps, but that's what we're aiming for here. So the music should really inform you and inform your flow. Yeah. When it comes to rhythm, now rhythm's a really interesting one, because there's a debate about rhythm around whether we're born with it. Is it something that comes natural? Is it something that we can learn? I would say, from personal experience, I think both things are true. I think it is something that some people are born with, because I've come across people who they just have flow naturally, even like very young people. You know, they have an ability to flow and to rap in time very, very naturally. I've seen dancers, very young dancers, who seem to have like natural rhythm. And speaking of dancers, I mean, you must have been to a party and seen just that person who just doesn't have any rhythm at all. You know the one, yeah. They just look all over the place, and it probably used to be me, to be fair, on the dance floor. But the difference is, right, that let's just imagine, for instance, you're the hip hop and rap version of that person, the guy at the party who can't really dance in time to the music. We can adapt and learn our timing and rhythm and flow. Yeah, we can practice and we can become better. No doubt about it. Yeah. Whereas that guy probably just goes to the party and tries to dance. He doesn't practice at home in front of the mirror. He doesn't get his groove on, you know. So we can practice, we can learn, and we can improve, progress. Absolutely. The majority of rappers start with a simple flow. They do. Listen to Eminem's early catalogue of music, and his flow is fairly simple a lot of the time. Yeah. And then look at some of the things that he's gone on to do in his career, you know, later in his career, and some of the incredibly complex and intricate flows that he's managed to put together. So fear not, is what I'm saying. If you feel like you've got a basic flow, that's okay. That's all good, you know. It's all about developing it. And that comes with time, with practice, with study. Yeah, study the greats. Recognize what they do. Try and break it down. Slow it down. Yeah, take like sections of their verse and really slow it down, and start to notice the syllable placement and the structure of each line, and how they go about combining words into that seamless flow. That's what I'd really, really suggest. There are some rappers and MCs who kind of throw the rule book out the window. One amazing example is MF Doom, who passed away recently. If you don't know of MF Doom, I'd definitely suggest that you go and check him out. He's widely revered as one of the great rappers, and his flow was very, very unorthodox. It went against all the rules, as I said, and sometimes it appeared to be offbeat, and it appeared to be out of time slightly, but he had a way with it and a way of making it work. So I'd suggest checking him out. Absolutely. It's a good example. All right, guys. So I'm gonna give you an example now of using one beat and instrumental, and how I can approach the flow in 3 different ways. Okay. So I'm going to start with a really simple flow. I'm going to move on to like a mid-tempo flow that kind of builds and develops as it progresses. And then I'm going to move on to a more sort of faster, intricate, perhaps complex flow. Okay, let's do it. Okay, so first thing I need to do is count out my beat, count out my instrumental, so that I can start to get a feel for how my flow is going to work in conjunction with the music. So I'm going to play the beat. There's the beat. Now there are 3 different ways that I can approach counting this beat out, depending on what style of flow I want to use. So the first style, if I was using a slow flow, I'd count it out like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Now you'll notice I'm not putting an and after the 4 so that I leave space for a breath, to insert a breath, yeah? So that count out, that flow style would work if I was going to rap on the beat like this, and it works for me because I like it like that. Alright? Second style, I count it out like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 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 That would be my mid-tempo approach, okay? And obviously I can mix it up as I go along on the beat, but I'll demonstrate a mid-tempo flow over this style of beat shortly. And then if I was going to count out for a really fast flow, for intricate, complex, fast style of delivery, I'd count it out like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 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 Okay, so that would be my really fast style delivery. You know, the likes that I've discussed previously in this this presentation, Eminem, you know, all of those guys that can rap really rapidly and quickly. Okay, so here is my approach to rapping on this beat using 3 different styles of flow, and we're going to start with the basic slow flow approach. Listen up, mate, the Brits are coming. The drums bang hard when the guitars are strumming. It's all in the name of love. Love for the beats and bars, and we disregard the charts as nothing. Listen up, mate, the Brits are coming. The drums bang hard when the guitars are strumming. It's all in the name of love, and we feel it in our soul and heart. This is the start of something. So that was my basic slow flow approach. You'll notice that there was lots of space in that style. Moving on now to a more mid-tempo approach, slightly faster, slightly more complex. It begins inside, all the feelings that bring us alive. Having a purpose, having to strive for the one thing that you've visualized and been working for all your life. Unstoppable drive, on the roller coaster ride, when there are people that are looking to dim your shine and there are others that are looking to sink your pride. But I've been to hell and we excel in difficult circumstances. Never should an obstacle halt your progress. Never should a setback hurt your chances. Yep, it's win or learn. As soon as you begin to burn all those things you were taught and things that you thought were true, only then do you begin to turn. A wish to a goal with a plan. Look inside your soul, overstand. You can achieve anything that you want with enough focus and belief in your hands. Any negativity, you move past it. Draining of your energy, you outlast it. Follow the path or become the path. You've done the graph, get rid of the counteractive forces in your sphere. There's no limits and no fear, there's no doubt. It's so clear you've been following your destiny, you're so near. So he keeps grinding, keeps mining for the diamond that's inside him. But the jewel was there all along, it was showing itself through his song, and it goes like. So that was my more mid-tempo approach. It was slightly faster in places, but you'll notice that there was definite space in there as well. Moving on now to a more faster, complex flow. 110% no less. Pick up the mic, they're like, oh yes, the flow's blessed. It's so messed. I know this music thing's a slow process, but you've been making no progress. Look at me like I'm crazy, get a real job, stop being lazy. 80% of people in your shoes never break free. Who are you aiming to be? Jay-Z or Slim Shady? You make me laugh. No, I'm aiming to stay me. You'll never contain me. You'll never get me to do the mundane and go for safety. Risk takers end up saying, no mate, pay me. That's the mindset. Anybody with a negative outlook, we sidestep. Used to tech, poor man strides high tech. Now the studio is like a spaceship, high tech. Okay, so that was my 3 different styles and approaches to flow over this particular beat. Now, hopefully you'll have noticed that
the three styles really differed in terms of how much space there was in between lines, in between certain words. Okay, now that is absolutely crucial and key. So when we think back to some of the rappers that I was name checking earlier, someone like Rick Ross or Giggs, they make sure they use a lot of space, yeah, in their sort of simple approach. You know, and as we said before, there's nothing wrong with a simple approach to flow, to lyricism, all of those things. And what we have to remember is that if we're counting out the beat as we've already described, what's really important is that we make sure we understand how much time we have in between beats, and therefore how many syllables can we fit into that space. Yeah, because when we are able to think in that way, it then allows us to write a line that becomes seamless. Yeah, it becomes seamless with the music because it's moving completely in time and in rhythm with the musical accompaniment. Okay, so really, really important that we think about space, we think about syllable placement, and we think about particularly writing in breath spaces. You know, where are we going to take breaths? Because when we're writing in our head, you know, sort of the music's on in the background, we're writing away, and in our head we can do anything, but in practically, it can become a lot more difficult. Yeah, and that's where we can sort of look at making first drafts and tweaking and altering as we move through the process. So hopefully that's given you some pointers and hopefully allowed you to see exactly how to approach flow for your own rapping, MCing, and music.
And just to finish off this session, I'd like to touch on a few other pointers that you might want to consider as you're embarking on your rapping, MCing journey and path. And there are three things that spring to mind. Firstly, delivery. Now, hopefully in the example I just gave there, you could hear that I was trying to manipulate my voice in certain places. I was sat down while I was doing it, so probably not in the optimum position. But what we want to be thinking of when it comes to delivery is how we can manipulate the tone of our voice, the cadence, the intonation, to make it more interesting and engaging. Now, some rappers, they're born with a really engaging vocal tone. You know, I can think of some classic rappers throughout history who instantly when you hear them, they're just engaging immediately. Q-Tip from Tribe Called Quest would be one. Jada Kiss would be another. D-E-E from the UK would definitely be another one. So if we're not fortunate enough to be blessed with that engaging vocal sound, we need to think about how we can use our voice creatively, yeah, and the energy that we put in to the delivery of the lyrics and the emphasis of certain words. So delivery is definitely one key area. Another key area is lyricism. How broad is your vocabulary? Yeah, how descriptive can you be with words? How can you manipulate words? Something we call wordplay in rapping and MCing. And how can you perhaps describe things in a way that others don't? Yeah, so that you stand out amongst the crowd. So lyricism, definitely another key area. The third key area that I want to touch on is originality. Now, I'm sure everybody here is clearly interested in rapping and MCing in some way, shape or form. And I can safely say, having been around this world of rap and hip hop for 2 decades now, there's been an absolute explosion of rappers and MCs in this country. And that's a great thing, you know. The accessibility has now opened up to everybody and people can express themselves creatively through the medium of hip hop. It's brilliant. What you have to think about as an artist, as a rapper, as an MC is how am I going to stand out amongst the crowd? Yeah, and the easiest way to do that is through originality, through being original, being your authentic, true self, really thinking about what it is that you're trying to do, as opposed to perhaps just copying whatever the trend is at the moment or whatever the wave that everybody's on. So how can you be different? How can you stand out? How can you be original, true to yourself and authentic? Think about those key areas, and along with flow, those are the 4 key elements that any world-class rapper, MC, artist in the world of hip-hop has to master. Yeah, if you can master those 4 key areas, you are definitely onto a good thing. So hopefully, guys, that's given you some food for thought and some pointers, some helpful tips and advice and guidance. I'm in the chat, so hopefully I've answered some of your questions if any have popped up. And we look forward to seeing you again at another ACM After School Club. Thanks so much for coming, guys. Really appreciate your time. Great to see you all on here. Take care. All the best. Good luck.
Hi, I'm Ronnie Ochero. I'm a games development lecturer with the ACM. Check out my session on 3D modeling on the 11th of March with the ACM After School Club.